What I want to finish on is looking at what's coming from a point of view of emerging from this crap. In other words, emerging from the mind prison that we've been put into, and therefore creating a reality that we'd rather have compared with the reality that we've been living. And breaking the spell is actually pretty much sums it up, because it is a spell in many ways, if you want to use that symbolism. Our minds have been locked in to a range of perception that gives us the impression that we are limited, that we are poor little Joe Public, I've got no power, and all the rest of it. And that's exactly where people manipulating a mass of people want us to be. And when we're looking at ways out of this, Einstein's quote, which is in many forms, but this is a summary of it, encapsulates what we're looking at. You cannot solve problems with the same level of consciousness that created them. Now, what we have in the world is a series of problems created, and then they'll change a political party or they'll move another dark suit in from somewhere else, but they're of the same level of consciousness as those who created the problem, so the problem just goes on getting compounded, because we've not reached that level of going beyond that and looking at it from another direction and seeing a way to change what we want to change. So the door is spinning round in Downing Street in the White House, but no matter what it looks like, the same level of consciousness is coming in and out, and so nothing changes. It cannot. And that consciousness is from the consciousness of vision, of seeing everything as a partness and all the rest of it, which is the consciousness that's been in power and has been manipulated among humanity to have and to manifest reality from that perspective, into a oneness that understands that we're all one consciousness, we're all one energy, all one mind, and therefore all these divisions between us through which we're divided and ruled are just illusions. You know, if someone got a baseball bat and started smacking themselves round the head with it, we would call that crazy, madness, insane. But that's what we're doing with the conflict in Palestine, in Iraq, in Second World War. We're one consciousness that's been set at war with itself. And when I say, and again, I talk about one consciousness, I'm not talking about one clone kind of bland, everyone the same consciousness. Absolutely the opposite of that. And one way of seeing how much we've come along the road to understanding this idea of connection and expressing the uniqueness of all possibility is how much we do that, and how much we are clone-like, just following the one in front, sticking to the norms, never stepping out of line. Now, we've become clone-like, not because of oneness, we're all the same, because that's not what oneness is about, but because we have disconnected from that infinity of all possibility, which we can play with and move around and get different points of observation from, and we're just playing and expressing and getting infinite joy from the infinite possibility that's there, and instead we've allowed ourselves to be suppressed into a fractional area of possibility. You know, so that's when we become clone-like. That's when we all act the same. That's when we become sheep. There's no contradiction between oneness and infinite variety, infinite diversity, which is what oneness is. So we can open our minds to multidimensional levels of awareness. It doesn't mean we're going to psychically bloody see everything. Oh, I've just seen someone over there, look, and all that stuff. But we are accessing that level of awareness, and therefore our point of observation of this reality is coming not from in this world. When you're in this world and of it, then you're buggered, really, because all you've got is this world to tell you what reality is and who you are. When you open your consciousness and move your point of observation, you are in this world physically, at least as a projection, but you are not of it in terms of your point of observation. And they're the people that stand out in society. They're the ones that people who are in this mode say, you're crazy, you're mad. No, he's different. because he's got a different point of observation to you. That's all it is. We're the same, but with different point of observation within infinity. There was a time when even this reality, I would say, we had this sense of oneness, this sense of connection, celebrating uniqueness, and joyous in diversity. It's far bigger than that. It's not just about we have other levels and that's it. It's all an illusion. And it's an illusion that we can enjoy, or it's an illusion that can control us. One of the big things that happened to me in recent years was when I wrote Alice in Wonderland in the World Trade Center disaster. When I finished that, I said to my wife, I said, you know, if I'm going to go further with this, because I don't want to go in a holding pattern just at one level of this. I want to know, and where it takes me, but I want to know. And so I said, I've got to go into these other levels in awareness, not in some dream. What was that dream? But in awareness. And symbolically, or not symbolically, coincidentally or synchronistically, more better term, around that time I was invited to go to Brazil and partake of something called ayahuasca, which is a rainforest plant which shamans in South America have been using to take people into other states of consciousness for centuries. You can have a bad experience on it, you can have a good experience on it. Mine was unbelievable. I took it, I could have taken it 4 times while I was there. I took it twice, enough for me, not done anything like that since. It was an experience. I want to go there without it, because we can. But over 2 nights, especially the second one, I had this extraordinary experience where I went into another state of consciousness, and a female voice, that was the form it took, but of course it was a transfer of thought consciousness, which I decoded as a female voice and decoded into English language, but really it was just a transfer of thought. And for 5 hours, this voice talked to me in great detail about the nature of reality and the fact that it was an illusion. And what it said was that our natural state is one of oneness, where we are all that exists. There is no me, we, there is just one infinite I, one infinite isness which we are all not part of, we are all it. But what has happened is that we have forgotten that we are the dream and the dreamer, and the dream has taken over, and the dream has led us to believe that we are a part. We think in terms of parts, not whole. We think in terms of David Icke, not infinite consciousness, and therefore we've got caught in an illusory trap of division, and symbolized by this picture. It talked about, think of an eddy or whirlpool in a river. It's part of the river, but it's in a different state of reality. It's not flowing with the river, it's in its own little world. And as it said, as long as the circumstances remain the same, that eddy will just keep going round and round and round and round. Only when the circumstances change, the flow changes, will it become flowing back into the river again and become the oneness. And when it started, this voice started talking to me, it opened up by saying, there's only one thing you really need to know. Infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. And in my mind, I went to say everything, and I got halfway through, it said everything else is illusion. Because what it was saying was, the only truth is the existence of this infinite one consciousness, which is all loving, all knowing, all wise, the harmonious amalgamation of all. Everything else is the imagination of that consciousness made manifest, illusion.
sleep all night, but in the darkest night, when our children are asleep, I think about the families of our enemies. Do they feel the same, believe in their own truth? They must love the children as fiercely as we do. We all share one thing, our hearts were given from above, and the only thing worth fighting for in this world is love. On down